Hello, dear travelers. Welcome to a new year with Tales from the Enchanted Forest with your hosts, Fox and Sparrow. Well, just Fox for today. This year, we will be trying to mix some of our longer stories with some shorter solo episodes. And to kick us off, Sparrow covered a fun story on the cottager and the cat last episode. So if you haven't heard that yet, then please do. And do make sure to let us know what were your favorite episodes from last year. We obviously did the Iranian epic, the Shahnameh, and that was about 3 episodes long, I think, as well as some other just literary stories. So we did Beowulf, just to get, some mixture in there from just fairy tales and folk tales. But I think my favorite is still all of the Norwegian stories we did. They were so odd and just strange. And I remember telling someone the cord that grinds the bottom of the sea, and they were like, well, what is the purpose of this story? And I had no answer for them. I was like, there's just a grinding stone at the bottom of the sea that bakes out salt, and now you know why. So today on our Fox special, we'll be looking at a Korean folktale on stories in celebration of the upcoming Lunar New Year. Lunar New Year, of course, has many different names, and countries like China, Korea, Vietnam, and Malaysia are all getting ready for January 22nd. This specific story comes from So Eun Kim's The Story Bag, a collection of Korean folktales. He was a prominent storyteller and essayist who wrote many books detailing Korean folktales and fairy tales. His politics, however, were quite controversial, and I recommend reading Kyung-mi Daniel Kwan's article, Colonial Ambivalence and a Message from the Rose of Sharon, a study of Kim So-eun and his literary works. For more background on So Eun Kim's literary impact through his Japanese translations, please do check out some of our sources that will be listed on our website. There once lived a wealthy family with a sole heir, a little boy who loved stories. Whenever he met a new person, he would ask them to tell him a tale to store away in a small bag he carried on his belt. Soon, the bag was packed tightly, and he struggled to shove more stories in there, but he kept going. Eventually, he forgot about the bag, as one does with old cherished toys. Time went on, and he grew into a handsome bachelor waiting for his lovely wife. As his household was in an uproar preparing for the wedding festivities, one of his old servants began hearing whispering in the walls. The old man took a moment to investigate and found that it was coming from the young master's bag of stories. The old man listened carefully to the whispers. "Listen, everyone," a faint voice said. "The wedding is tomorrow. We must make him pay for keeping us stuffed in here for so long. He should suffer as we have." "Yes," a second voice agreed. "Tomorrow, when the boy is riding his horse to bring home his bride, I shall disguise myself as ripe, juicy berries along the road. He enjoys beautiful things, so he will pluck me and eat me right up. And when he does, I shall poison him. If he survives," a third voice chimed in, "I will become a bubbling spring. When he feels thirsty and slurps me up, I will make him feel horrible. Even so," a fourth voice added, "if you fail, then I will become a hot iron skewer hidden in his bag of chaff. When he dismounts at his bride's house and he steps in the bag, I will burn his feet off." But, a fifth voice hissed, "if nothing else, then I will become poisonous snakes and hide in the bridegroom chamber. When the happy couple falls asleep, I will bite them both." Now, this is a classic trope of villains monologuing about what they're going to do, but I feel like the scale of what they want to do to him differs. I feel like poisoning and then just having something like a UTI isn't as bad, I feel like, and then it kind of escalates and then de-escalates and then escalates again, so it goes from "I'll poison him and then you'll die" to "I'll make him feel quite terrible for a few days" to "I'm going to burn his feet off," and then back to "well, if that fails, I'll kill him." And his wife, by the way, not just him. The old man, who is a faithful servant, was quite alarmed at this information. He decided to join the bridal procession tomorrow and keep an eye out for the devious stories, who, despite being stories and having, years to plan, have come up with the weirdest stuff. But it's fine. The next day, as the groom was preparing to head out, the old servant ran out and asked to lead the young master's horse. There were grumbles and complaints, but the servant's resolve was ironclad, and eventually everyone relented. On the way, they came across a field of stunning berries that had not been there previously. The groom called for everyone to stop and asked for some, but the determined servant refused and said he would get some for him later. With the crack of the whip, the horse moved on. The same happened when they came upon the tempting bubbling brook, and the groom said he was dying of thirst. The servant said he'd feel better once they were in the shade, and they should hurry along. Annoyed, the groom was in a horrible state when they finally arrived at the bride's house. A bag of chaff was placed for him to dismount on, since the custom at the time was that the groom's feet could not touch the ground. Panicked, the servant pretended to fall and shoved the man into a stack of hay mats. Now, not just embarrassed, but also angry, the groom quietly ceased, but continued with the wedding, waiting to reprimand his servant in private. The wedding was beautiful, and when the couple retired for the night, the servant waited outside for the lights to go out. Which, again, a little bit creepy, but he has good intentions. Finally, it was time. As soon as their room went dark, the servant sprung to action and threw open the door to the bridal chamber. "I shall explain later," he shouted at the bewildered couple, and threw the sheets off to reveal hundreds of thread-like snakes coiled tightly into a ball. Wildly, he slashed and stabbed, fighting off the snakes until there was nothing left. Only then did he turn to the wide-eyed couple and relay the tale of what he had heard. From then on, stories were never stored away to become mean and spiteful. They were shared and passed on so that everyone could enjoy them. And with that, I welcome you all to a new year of sharing stories with us here in the Enchanted Forest. Please be sure to check in on our new episodes coming in February with places we have not traveled to before. And remember, travelers, there is always a place for you in the Enchanted Forest. So don't become spiteful and mean. Come join us.